Alrighty. Yeah, everybody, it's that time again. Another video. Boom. Here we have it. Retired in Korea. Exchange your Korean driver's license with your American driver's license, or change your American driver's license with your Korean one. Question: international driver's permit online from AAA, and can you get an IDP in Korea? That's what we're going to be talking about. And we might be talking about some other stuff as well. Depends on who shows up and the questions that are being asked. So, welcome aboard. My name's Steve, the retired hobby tech guy. A little bit of background on me. For those who don't know, I sold everything in the United States. The wife and I, we got rid of everything. House, cars, guns, ammo, everything in the kitchen junk drawer, guns, ammo, and a bunch of other stuff. We left with a couple of suitcases. We did a little bit of traveling, and we ended up retiring here in Korea. And boom, here we are. And so with that being said, some people ask, well, how did you get to retire in Korea? Because it's not really known as a big retirement destination. Yeah, they do have a retirement visa, but you got to put like $500,000 and invest in Korea. Yeah, it's not like Thailand, it's not like Philippines, it's not like Portugal or some other countries that have a low income requirement and a much smaller deposit. So how did we get to stay in Korea? Well, we ended up getting an F4 visa for my wife because she was a Korean citizen, became an American citizen. Because of her Korean ancestry, she could get the F4 visa. I was able to get the F1 visa because I'm a spouse of an F4 visa holder. So, boom, booyah, here we are in Korea. We've been here just over 2.5 years and kind of documenting our journey of retiring early, which is a good thing. We were able to retire early here in Korea because the expenses were less. Obviously, we don't live in Seoul, Korea, because then our expenses would be really, really high, and we wouldn't be able to afford even a cheap apartment in Seoul. It is crazily insane. But the question we're looking at today is exchanging the Korean driver's license, and we're going to look at reciprocity and things like that for driver's licenses. How do you renew your driver's license? Well, we're going to get into some of that and maybe some other questions as well. So we're going to jump right in. And with that, Farthus pops up and says, "Good morning, Steve." Good morning. How's it going? Caught you at a good time. He's one of the regular people that show up here, and he's kind of interested in some of the stuff I do and some of the hobby stuff, which is what you do. You got to have some hobbies when you retire. So with this, we're going to talk about being retired and all this stuff that we just mentioned. So let's jump into it. We're going to look at some things here. It ends up that driver's licenses, reciprocity. South Korea and the United States have a reciprocal agreement on driver's license, which allow holders of a valid Korean driver's license to drive in many U.S. states without needing an international driving permit, provided, there's always rules, and those rules change. So be sure to check with the state that you're going to visit and to see if that's still the case. So things change like at the drop of a hat. The United States and Korea signed a reciprocal agreement back in 2011. They updated over the years and allowing Korean license holders to drive in the U.S. without an international driving permit, that's what the IDP stands for non-commercial purposes. So yeah, you're going on vacation, visiting, seeing family, whatever it is. There's a lot of people, tourism, medical tourism, so on and so forth. As of 2025, from what I found out, 49 states and Washington, D.C. recognize South Korean driver's license under this agreement, but Georgia, the state of Georgia, is the only one that doesn't. Georgia's doing their own thing. They're out in their own little world, and Lord knows what's going on with Georgia. Most states allow you to use your Korean driver's license for a limited time, usually 30 to 90 days, depending on the tourist visa and the time that you're allowed. Or a short-term visa, some states can extend this up to 1 year. So again, you're going to have to get the DMV with those states and find out the particular rules. However, it is recommended that you get an IDP, International Driving Permit, as a backup Is recommended, especially if you plan to drive in multiple states or in Georgia, because they do recognize that, at least at the time of making this video, and provides a standardized translation as widely recognized of International Driving Permit. IDP is not strictly required in most states due to the Korea and U.S. agreement, but it's always good to have as a backup. You never know. And with the way that things are changing in the world today, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So yeah, there it is. That's the mantra for today. You can obtain IDP in South Korea from the Road Traffic Authority or a designated license agency. You can even get it at the Incheon Airport, that it says there, before traveling, which is pretty good. I think there's two terminals, Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. I could not find the information on exactly which terminal, but if you go to the kiosks or the help desks, they will be able to point you in the right direction. I've heard some people have gotten them before they went to their locations for vacation. So yeah, or you can contact AAA and you can get it online, or if you're in the States, you can go to AAA and you can get an international driver's permit, kind of like what we did before we came to Korea, because we knew that eventually we would have to get a Korean driver's license. We didn't know if it would entail having to take a written test, a driving test, or whether we could just exchange our licenses, what we did. Car rental companies can use the IDP. Check with the rental company in advance. Hertz, Enterprise, it seems like all of those have no problem with that. Insurance, be sure to check with that. When you get stopped in a foreign country, or if you're from a foreign country and you get stopped in the United States, especially by police, present your driver's licenses and IDP and insurance and registration or rental contract information. Also have your passport ready, and you should be good to go. And treat people nice. Like we said, Georgia is the only one that doesn't recognize this thing with Korean driver's licenses. Now you might think, well, maybe it's because, it's a Korean driver's license. It's written in Korean. And it's like, well, here's the thing. The Korean driver's license that I have that is good for 10 years, it's Korean on one side, and then you flip it over, it's the exact same thing, except it's in English. So, boom, we're good. I'm not planning on going to Georgia ever again, so I don't think that's going to be a problem, but you can get the international driver's permit, which would allow you to do that. Again, for some strange reason, I go back to the United States, and for some out of the world, once in a gazillion years, I would have to go to Georgia. I know that I have to get an IDP. So, yeah. There it is. Other states have unique restrictions, so wherever you're planning to travel, be sure to check with their DMVs, and that's always everybody's fun. Everybody loves a DMV, don't you? With that said, my Colorado driver's license needs renewed. And so I'm trying to check and figure out. Of course, Colorado just recently said that they end up saying, hey, you can renew your license online. And I was all excited. I typed in the things, and next thing you know, it ends up that it was going to go online and renew, and I fill in all of my information, and it says, rejected. You're out of here. You can't do it online. I'm like, seriously? So, and because of the time difference, I wasn't able to get the online chat people, real person. So I got to wait and do that. And hopefully I will be able to mail it in because, that would be nice to have that just in case. Again, I don't need it, but as a backup plan, it's always nice to have. So I have my Korean driver's license, which is in Korean and English. I have an international driver's permit that I can get, which is a good backup plan. And I don't know. I just want to see if I can get get another Colorado driver's license and see if I can update that for another 10 years. And then, I'll be done. If not, I don't really care, because mine's good for 10 years. And then after the 10 years here in Korea, I just go, I do another vision test, I pay, 10, 20,000 won, whatever it was, just renew it, boom, I'm good for another 10 years. So, got to be kind of interesting to see how all that happens. With that, some people have asked, how can you exchange your driver's license, U.S. driver's license, for a Korean driver's license? And there's actually a way that you can do that, and we'll take a look at that. There's different areas of where you can exchange for your foreign driver's license, and then we'll look at where in Korea you can actually get your international driver's permit as well. But with that, since most of the audience are American citizens, and they're like, hey, how can I get an IDP? There's two ways in which you can do this. You can go to the AAA store, office, place, whatever. We went to one in Hawaii, and we applied for the international driver's permit. It's just a thing that they print out. It's recognized. I think it was like $20-$30, something like that. Good for 1 year, and then you can post date it. So that was really good. But you can't do it more than 6 months. So before we came to Korea, we post dated it for like 3 months, so that when we got to Korea, the day that we landed, it was 1 October, that our IDP would start. And then we'd have 1 year from that date to use it. And heck, you can even go online and you can apply for an IDP if you're overseas and just keep doing that. But it's not too bad if you exchange your U.S. driver's license for a Korean driver's license. So we got that going on. So the questions that I had with that were people were asking, how do you exchange for your American driver's license for a Korean one? Well, there are, let's just go ahead and hit this up first. So, and we might have to make some adjustments here a little bit, just a little bit. So, boom, there we go. I'll just kind of resize this. The joys of doing stuff live. I'll just kind of do that. This is the website safedriving.or.kr/guide/RER guide ENG02.DO $. So you can check that out. That's up at the top there. I'll see if I can remember to put the link in the video, or in the comments section, and we'll kind of pin this because this is kind of an important one. So exchange of your foreign driver's license, when we talk about that, that's definitely a thing you can do. All regional driver's license examination offices, so in other words, wherever you're living has their own like DMV, and you can go get your either your foreign license exchanged, and currently there's somewhere between, it could be 11 to 20. It kind of depends. I find varying different sources of information on which states have reciprocity with changing out the driver's licenses. And there was actually a gentleman that ends up that he belonged to a state in the United States that wasn't on that agreement with Korea to exchange driver's licenses. So he's like, well, I'll just go give it a shot and try it anyway. So he goes to the Korean DMV, and he has his American driver's license. He's got the form. He did the eye test. He paid like 10 or 20,000 won, whatever it was. And they go up there, and here's my driver's license. Going to exchange for it. Him and his wife did that. They filled out the form. Everything was good. And the lady, the clerk there, looked at the form, make sure everything was filled out. Driver's license. Yep, it's a foreign driver's license. Pay. Eye test was all good. And they exchanged his license for a Korean one, even though it wasn't on the list as having that reciprocity. So there's one of two things. Either Korea doesn't update and they accept these other states, or have accepted these other states that previously they didn't, or they accept all of the states and they just exchange it, or the clerk was like, hey, foreign license, let's exchange it. I'm not even going to check the list. Maybe it's that Jedi mind trick thing. Oh, these are not the licenses you're looking for. Here's your Korean license. And maybe that's what happened. There's a possibility of that. So when we get back to this, you can go to any licensed DMV here in Korea. Public notice, view some details. A country talks about some stuff. A license issued. Only a health check is necessary. So basically it's like an eye test. And then if you have to take a written test, it's like a 40 question. I think it's in English, Korean, Chinese, and Vietnamese. So there's that if you have to do that. With the exchange, you don't have to take the test. So that's good to go. It's got some other information here talking about, passport, blah, blah, blah. Color photos, you'll need some of those, the passport photos, and some other interesting stuff. Yeah, so health check fees like 7,000 or 6,000 for, why did I think it was 10,000? Could be 10,000 because, again, things sometimes don't get updated. Gangnung Taebak Myeonggyeong Chuncheon. Examination offices do not have health check centers. Applicants must receive a health check at a nearby hospital. We didn't have to do that. Maybe that's for senior. Foreign driver's license exchange is only limited to type 2 general, so in other words, non-commercial purposes. And yeah, you got to have that mutual recognition agreement with some countries, and the United States is one of them. Since exchange of a foreign driver's license is a time-consuming process, please inquire with the regional office before visiting. Application by an agent is not possible. It ends up, so here's where it is. So yeah, foreign driver's license from an acknowledged country, and it comes down here, all the stuff that you need. Your Korean registration card, which you got to have, your color photos, the passport photos, embassy certificate, apostille, or your license. So since you have your license on hand, you don't need an apostilled. Certificate of facts concerning entrance and exit from birth to the present year. You get that at a local Korean office that will show all the times that you came and left Korea, and it has to be within 90 days, but I would get it and do it within 30 days just to be safe. I'm always a little cautious, so I'll always do it way before. Then the license fee is 8,000 won, in English 10,000 won. So okay, so that's where I got the 10,000 won. So depending, it's around 10,000 won. And however much it costs you to drive to the DMV, it works out pretty good. So that is the driver's license exchange. And so you can do that. And again, it's good for 10 years, Korean on one side, English on the other. And you can use that in the United States with the exception of Georgia because they're crazy. Some other things that we can talk about are where can you get the AAA? Now, like I said, when we were in Oahu, or on Oahu, what we ended up doing is going to a AAA office. We go in there. I was like, AAA is kind of like what my grandparents did. They belonged to AAA and the Good Sam Club. They traveled all across the United States in their RV after they retired. I went on some trips with them. I lived with them for a while, so that was kind of fun. Then they came back, and the RV sat at the house forever and a day until they finally got rid of it. So it's kind of like another apartment. That's where I got to stay. It was the cool place to stay instead of in the house. And it was by the pool. I was by myself. I was a rebel. So we got that going on. But as far as that, AAA now offers that you can do this online as well. So with that, we're going to take a look at that and take a look at AAA. And this is the AAA website, AAA.com, and you can do a search for International Driver's Permit. Make sure it's with the IDP, with AAA, especially the AAA.com. And international driving permit speaks the language even if you don't. So why do you want to carry one? If you're already overseas, how to apply. They now have this online where you can apply for this, and we see some of the requirements there. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we all can read. You can get this. You can complete and sign the application, take your digital passport photo, smartphone and camera required. I always kind of scan my passport photo ones that I take for other things, so that's kind of good. Capture front and back of your driver's license. Pay $20 permanent fee, $10 passport photo fee plus application shipping, however long it takes to mail that. 5 business days to process plus return shipping. IDs are physically printed and mailed. Digital versions are not available. If you need an IDP in 7 days or less, visit the AAA branch near you. So you can do that, or you can go to the AAA branch and they can do all that for you. You can download the form and fill it out. Again, you got to have 2 passport photos, $20, and you're good to go. Here it also says that you can apply by mail. If you're not able to visit, you can obtain through mail. Just enclose the following mail to the nearest office. And again, kind of the same thing. And yeah, if desired, include additional U.S. funds for expedited return of mail service using USPS or FedEx. So yeah, but they do have this online thing. So let's click this and see what the online thing says. So there it is, how it works. Wait a second, went too quick. Place an order, choose service and shipping, place an order, create a GoWorks account. Okay, then that's step 1. Step 2, complete the online wizard. Take passport photo as well as pictures of your license. Answers and photos will be used to complete. E-sign your application, and your application will be submitted electronically. Please allow 5 business days for processing. Okay. And yeah, it just goes through some of those things. Discover can they purchase one? If someone has a driver's license from U.S. territory such as Guam, how do they get their IDP to work for them? I'm on active duty in the military. My U.S. license has or is due to expire. Can I apply for an IDP? Each state has its own licenses. IDP is only a translation of the license, not a license to drive. Military applicants must understand. Yeah, so it'd probably be a good thing to get that squared away. Okay. So, yeah, apply online. Let's kind of click that and we'll see how that says. So you're going to put your name, first and last, date of birth, travel destination, the departure date. Again, that can be up to 6 months, not more than 6 months. And we can see over here, one applicant, IDP and photo, $30. Online, they're going to make a little bit of money. They're going to make an extra $10 off you. And boom, there you go. So yeah, you can fill all that information in, click next, and should be easy peasy. It goes to customer info, shipping and handling, payment. It would be interesting to see if they could ship to overseas addresses. But with that, I have an APOAP address here in Korea because I'm a retired military veteran. And we are allowed to have basically a military P.O. box. But because we're retired, because I'm retired, there's limits on my mailbox. So no Amazon packages, no big boxes. I am limited because under the status of forces agreement, I'm not active duty. I'm retired. I'm like low man on the totem pole. I'm at the bottom and ugh. But I can get up to 16 ounces of correspondence. And I can also get medical packages from a doctor who prescribes things or medical supplies, things like that, you know. So if you need special pillows or sleep apnea on a big machine and all that stuff or whatever, you can get those things shipped to you, to your APOAP, if it's prescribed by a doctor or, you know, on a specific list. But regular Amazon, if you've got to get your Amazon fix, you're not going to be able to do it as a retiree with your military APOAP address. So with that, you can ship things from Amazon to Korea using your Korean address. So it takes like a week and a half, 2 weeks sometimes. There are some items that you cannot get on Amazon that they will not ship to Korea because of certain things. Usually it's solvents, things that are way overly big will have a limit. There's some things that I was like, ooh, I want to get this, and then I change it to my Korean address. It's like, yeah, you're out of luck. So, but for most of the stuff, it works out pretty good. And I get free shipping as long as it's over, I think as long as it's over $50, you can get free shipping. So you can get the Amazon fix, and most of the items that you can get on Amazon are cheaper than what you can get with Naver or Coupang here in Korea, because they get their stuff from overseas, and if they get it from Amazon, which a lot of stores will do, and then they'll mark it up and then they'll sell it on, you know, Naver or Coupang, different marketplaces and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. There are some items that on Naver and Coupon, especially Naver, you will find things that will be 2 or 3 times more expensive than what you will find with Amazon that'll ship to Korea. So again, you got to, do your due diligence and shop wisely to find out where you can get the best deal. But it is still possible to do and get your Amazon fix. So the good thing is, it shows up. I'll get text and saying, hey, like I just ordered some stuff, and the information is saying, hey, your order's on the way, it's en route, blah blah blah. I'll have it delivered to my door, and it'll say, hey, your package was delivered. I go to the door, and boom, there it is. So they're pretty good about that. They're pretty good on keeping the status. And with that being said, Korean delivery people are really good at their jobs. So they take pride in their work. They just don't throw crap around. And if something's big or heavy, whatever it is, they're very careful with it, because they get rated, and if they get a lot of bad ratings, then they're kind of like contractors, so they can lose their job. So generally, I would say that Korean package delivery people are way better, in my experience of what we had in the United States, than in the United States. So yeah, there it is. Anyway, so that's what we got going on there. I was able to get a Facebook page. For those of you who don't know, I ended up, because I was doing a live stream, and I would stream to YouTube and to Facebook at the same time with my eCam software, and then I was reading Korean news articles that were publicly published. So in other words, it's not like NC-17 or R-rated stuff, or secret scroll stuff. It was public news that you can easily Google and find out, and watch online and watch on TV. But because of the words that I said, Facebook said that, yeah, shame on you, naughty, 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 and they deleted my account. Yeah, they deleted my Facebook account. So this is kind of now we're just kind of ranting. We're not going to talk about this stuff here, so we'll just push that off to the side. But yeah, they closed my account. Said, boom, you're done. You went against community standards by saying certain words, even though I was reading news articles. And it's like, do you want to appeal this? And it's like, well, hell yeah, I want to appeal this. So I press the appeal button, and it's all automated now. So you don't get to talk to somebody. There's nothing that you can do. It's just like, oh, you appeal. Less than 24 hours, it came back, said, nope, you're still done. You're out of here. You can never get another Facebook account ever again on your own. And so it's like, what the heck is going on? You can't go back and say, here's the video, here's the news articles that I was reading, that's public information for everybody in the world can see this information, and it's just words, but they're words that Facebook has deemed as offensive. So apparently you can't use certain words anymore. So I'm trying to be careful with the words I use. So anyway, I do have a page, and that is in the description down below, so we can actually take a look at this. And there it is. So yeah, facebook.com/thevariedlife. And this is only for hobby stuff. So yeah, resin, FDM printing, painting, miniatures, massive plugs for my page. I've got 2 friends. After I don't know what the max number of friends you could have on Facebook before, but it was in the thousands, and a lot of it, people, hey, I ought to be your friend, and okay, whatever. Yeah, I just approve it. Unless and towards the end, it ended up, I was kind of selective at who would be my friend, because you got some nut jobs out there, not just like crazy for, hobby nut job stuff, but I mean, actual crazy people. So yeah, but yeah, now I have this page, and references my YouTube page, and this is just going to be for my hobby stuff. It's not going to be for any of the retired hobby stuff or the retired in Korea stuff. It's just going to be for the hobby stuff. So as you can see, I started throwing some videos on there, and boom, yeah, got my little graphic, hobby tech guy, and yeah, it's all bulked out. So if you want to check that out, that's in the description box down below. I only have two friends. I only have two friends. No, only two friends. I'm so lonely. And my wife isn't even one of them. How disturbing is that? So yeah, that's what we got going on. Interesting stuff with the YouTube stuff. Veritha says, "Wow, congrats on being back on Facebook." It's under somebody else who likes my videos, who posts that stuff. Let's just put it that way. And these just shared with friends because I only saw 2 posts. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how this is working because it's a page and I just post like the videos or whatever. It's kind of a weird thing that goes on. But yeah, if you end up going on there, I can accept friends. It'll have some friend recommendations. And I signed up for some groups. I can belong to groups as well. So there's that. And like somebody just sent me I get friend recommendations every once in a while. You know, people that I may know, which I look across and it's like, I don't know anybody. But it's just kind of like, basically it's like starting from scratch. So... but yeah, check out the page. You send a friend request, that'd be cool. If not, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. Just another thing for me to do as I'm being retired. I only see the cover photo and the profile photo. I don't know what to tell you. That's all I got. This is what I see. So there's the page. There's let me copy this, and I'll put that in the comments section, and maybe it comes up different. I don't know. But that's the web page. So that's what comes up for me is what we're looking at now is I get that, I got 2 friends, I got the posts, I got the about information, which I don't have really much of anything on there. I've got 2 friends, only 2 friends. Got some photos. I haven't posted any videos or TV shows or anything like that. Check-ins, I haven't done any check-ins. I haven't done any of that stuff there, and that's what I got. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's not a normal, like, my personal Facebook page. This is a page where my videos get posted. So I don't know what the deal is. Maybe that's why I only have 2 friends. But the good thing is that it does allow me to have some groups. So for example, you can end up seeing here, Camp Humphrey support groups and painting groups. Stuff like that. Pretty much this is just going to be centered around, some things, mostly hobby stuff, some stuff in Korea, retired and veteran support in Korea. Just, I had tons and tons of groups before, but, this is, nothing really crazy. So compared to what I had before. Before it was like, yeah, I had a ton of groups, way too many groups, so maybe it was time for that. Your posts are only shared with friends. That's the little people symbol next to the post and date. Really? Let's go back. Let's see what's going on. And we can go to the post, buried life, and it says edit audience. Oh, okay. once again, ferret this coming through. See, on my regular Facebook page, everything was set to public. So I don't know why this is only going to friends. That'd probably make a big difference. Let me go through and do all this. I'm pretty sure it probably has to do when I post something that I'm probably just an idiot, which is, it's not hard. But when you post something, I'm sure there's something that says what is the audience, but on my previous ends up everything went public. So I'm sure there's a setting that I can default it so everybody and their grandmother can see this, but I'll just go through and I'll make sure that we can check that again. And say post, who can comment, who can whatever. Okay, that's just the updated photo. That's going to be the updated photo. So yeah, it should be good now. Matter of fact, what we can end up doing is I can post something and put it on there. Just saw it, your post only shared with friends. It's the globe. The globe. Public posts. When you post something, you select the audience. Yeah. So, for example, what I'm going to do here, I'll just go back here. And let's see if I do a little post. Hello, world. And if I post a picture, and let's go ahead and we'll find a picture that I can post that's got I don't know, let's do that one. So I end up seeing here. So right there. See, right in front of my eyes. Right in front of my eyes. And who can see her post? Public. Imagine that. Okay. Seriously. That's the one I want to do. Boom. We'll just throw that out there. Hello, world. And then friends. And we go to public. We go to done. And I only want one picture. Seriously? Really? We're going to do that? And then it's for public. And now it should be good. So I'm sure there's a setting. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, I'm sure there's a setting up in that under my whatever account that I can set it for, I think a default of whatever that is. But yeah, there it is. And that's actually, that is the bookend that I ended up doing, the Dragon Book Nooks that I did, and I gave that to my daughter. So you can set as default in the window where you select the audience. Okay. Good. Yep, done. So cool. That'll be kind of cool. So yeah, trying to get back into this. I was almost devastated when it was like all of the stuff that was going on. And content preferences, activity logs, settings. I don't know. Default audience settings. That's what we want. And we set it to public. Public. So we should be good to go. Who can comment? Everybody. Yep. Confirm. Public settings. So there we go. Default audience updated. Boom. We're done. And we're good to go. And yeah. So there we go. We are good. We are good. We are good. All this technology stuff. Man, it's crazy. Crazy. So yeah. Another crisis averted. Again, therapist for the win. That's twice now he's won the internet with giving me great advice. So, yeah, boom. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. Fun stuff. I just got in my Army Painter speed paints. Those came in yesterday, and matter of fact, if you see that little thing right there, those have all my Army speed paints. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good little kit. So the Army Painter speed paints, we ended up getting that. And then, yeah, the cheap and easy way to paint things. So we're looking forward to that. And we've got a number of models that we're going to be testing that out. And we'll do a video and try that and see how that goes. I've got, as you saw on the, what is it, the camera switching screen. Where is that? So you can see here, we got some models there. We got the big 40K guy. We got the cave troll that we finished up, and next to him is the whatchamacallit, and that's not, I think we can leave that off. We got the Viking dude, and next to him on the upper left, it ends up that is kind of like a Warhammer-ish type of tabletop game guy, so we'll be taking a look at that. And we'll be trying out these different paints and see how they work. So, Ferthus says he's got a question. I actually have a question regarding acrylic paint washes. I'm pretty much a noob with that. A paint wash is pretty good because basically it's not like a full paint. It's not opaque. It's kind of it's transparent, but it's got a little bit of a color. Think of it like on a camera. When you take a picture and you can choose a filter to have kind of like a sepia look to it, and it puts that filter in instead of where we are now and normal looking, you get that sepia tone, or you can get a dark tone. That's basically what a wash is. And after the model's been painted, you can put that wash on there, and that wash will go into the recesses. It can actually darken up some of the low areas to provide some depth. And washes are pretty good. Washes are pretty good because you can get some more depth out of the model, and especially when doing skin or armor or things like that. I used washes on that, on a number of things. I used it on the cave troll that we just finished. What are some other things that I ended up doing? Let me get that. I did this one, and oh yeah, I did this one here, my Mando and the Hulk. Oh, I also did it on my dragon too. I use washes on a lot of stuff. So, first of all, on this guy here, if we can get that to clear up. Yeah, I used washes on there to give a little bit of depth. And so when you see underneath the armor plates on how it kind of goes like that, what I ended up doing is putting a wash in there. It settled into the recesses and to give it kind of like a shadow look. And definitely on the back there, there was wash in those crevices. So it kind of darkens it up a little bit. And the good thing is it provides, instead of just having a big mass of metal on the back that just kind of doesn't have any definition, the wash is able to get in those cracks and crevices. And kind of like on the top there, again, I wish this would focus. There you go. You can see how it looks like there's actually black there. That's actually where the wash had settled into those recessed areas. And then I use some wash on the skin as well. So to get that guy in there, to give a little bit of depth, you can have soft tone wash. You can get medium, dark. Just kind of depends on what you're doing. This was an earlier print that I ended up doing, the Mando, and I used wash on him. and this turned out really good. So I did some on the armor, and again, it ends up, and I did some wash on the cape. Of course, I also did some highlighting there. If we can, it's almost like I need some like cardboard or something. That's not gonna work. I wonder if it'll work with paper. See if we can get the, yeah, on the helmet, ended up putting some wash. You can see it in those recesses and stuff like that. And then on the pod, there's a little bit of distressing work that I did on there. So this one turned out really, really good. And again, even on Grogu, of course everything's backward, a little bit of wash on his face went into the recesses, so it provides a little bit of depth on there. So that one turned out really good. This is really good. This was resin printed, and yeah, this just came out so good. I really like this one. And then the other one is the dragon here, which I used wash on this. See if we can get this going. And to be able to provide, you know, some muting of the colors on his chest, on his belly, to go in those recesses to where you can see that there. And then on his horns, again, that wash was applied. Of course, everything's backwards. The wash was applied on there to kind of, instead of going through and painting everything with that, and that ended up, this one turned out really, really good. And again, I did a lot of, you know, with the purple and the reds, and this turned out just really, really good. The underside, this one was really, really good. Yeah, it's the question, do you use water or ethanol to thin the paint? I've just used water. That's what was recommended to me. So, and with acrylic paints, it's kind of like a water-based, plant-based paint anyway. So water works well. I don't do ethanol. Didn't even know that was a thing. Maybe it is, I'm not sure. So, but yeah, the prints came out pretty good. And the wash works well. So, let me put these guys back. I've got a bunch of other ones that I need to do as well. Let me get this guy back. So, yeah, fun stuff, fun stuff. Let's see. Can you go over multiple times with washes to make them darker? Yeah, you can. The experience that I've had, you know, sometimes you can paint with acrylic paints, and then if you go over it with another paint, sometimes you might have some problems depending on the paint. But as long as it's dried, the paint is dry, and then you go over with the wash and let that fully dry, you can go back over with another wash. I've done that a couple times where I'll start off light and it's just not dark enough, so then I'll let it fully dry, you know, pop the hair dryer on it for a little bit to make sure it's good and dry, and then I'll go back with a slightly darker wash, and I haven't had any problems. I guess if you're really nervous about that, I would try it. I haven't had any problems. It's just kind of like a final coat that you put on, and then the only thing after the wash would be a varnish, like a matte varnish or a satin varnish, to seal everything in. So yeah, it can withstand the test of time of sitting on your shelf. But the washes are pretty good. It's kind of a neat thing. And usually what I've found with washes is if I just pick the one that I want and that I think will look good, and again, there's 3 different with the Army Painter ones. Matter of fact, let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3. No, there's 4. There's 4 in the kit that I ended up getting. So we end up having a soft tone wash. And let me see if this is. So I kind of put these bottle tops on there and you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So again, it's kind of soft. And then the next one is a flesh wash, which is, and of course everything's backwards. So just kind of give you an idea of what that looks like, on how that looks. So that can actually help in like faces and stuff like that, and kind of darkening up without going too big and bold. And then we have a strong tone, so you can see how that definitely darkens up. And that could be good on like bones or things like that if you want that type of effect. So that's the strong one. And then the other one is the dark, for the darkness. And there you can see that. So all of these were primed with white, and with these different shades, you can really kind of, especially if you're doing things like skeletons, skeleton bone covers, skeleton bone, if you're kind of painting skeletons or things like that, or skulls. Let's see some other things. Maybe you're doing some robes and nobody has, a pristine color robe, so you're going to want some kind of definition in there. And the washes can help you do that as well. You can put it on faces, you can put it on body parts, armor. There's just so many things that you can put washes on. And it's kind of an easy way to help get definition in the faces as well. I'm not real good with flesh tones and everything, so I'm still practicing that. But the washes will help. Besides doing, your base coat and then doing a little bit of highlighting and then, base coat and a couple highlights or whatever, and then throw a wash on there to try to get the sunken areas, to kind of get that shadow look, to create depth. That's what you can end up doing. Unless you're like a master painter, and then you can just be awesome. So. And actually, I ended up doing a wash on this guy here. Let's see. Let me get this to focus. The camera will play nicely. Focus, camera, focus. And of course, it's not going to want to focus. There it is. So you can see on the face how there's a little bit of depth in there, like around the eyes and stuff like that. That's where that wash comes in. Because there's no way I'd be able to paint that. I'm sure that people do. But the wash just kind of gives that extra depth on there. And even got some on his back as well. So you can see that it kind of goes into the low areas, and you kind of get a little bit of added definition. I still got some areas I need to tweak in there. But washes can definitely help. So, yeah. I want to get better at doing flesh and faces and all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm still practicing that as well. Let's see. This is great. I'll give it a try. Give it a shot. Trying to avoid spray painting the model because it would be impossible to get into every crack. Yeah, and that's a great thing about wash. It just washes over everything, And if you want it thick and heavy, it'll go in all the cracks and recesses. It's worth it. Those look really nice. I was just planning on giving the green model a black wash to give everything dimension and to make it darker. Yeah, that would definitely do it. And that's what I'm finding out with a painting is that you have your base color and then you have 2 or 3 others where you kind of build up and lighter in color. So that's kind of the whole thing with paint and triads or whatever, 3 or 4 different types of paint to kind of do different highlights and edge highlighting and whatever. The more little details that you put in there and the more layers, and then things like the wash on top of that, you could really get some good results. So there's crazy people that just do incredibly detailed stuff. You know that. I know that. But yeah, some of the groups I belong to, it's just like, holy crow. These people are incredible painters. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I got a long way to go. For the stuff the stuff that I have done looks good, but you have to realize the amount of time that I took to do those things was inordinately long. It was way too long, way too much time. The average person probably wouldn't do that. But then with the painting, it's like I paint a little bit, try to make sure that I do it right, watch videos, go back, paint a little bit, let the whole thing dry, come back the next day and do some more stuff. So it took a really long time to do those models. But the masters, the people that get the Golden Demon Awards and are awesome painters and stuff like that, they could be able to do that in a few hours or a day or whatever. Those people, it's just like, I got a long way to go. Yeah, I'll send you a picture when I'm done. Fingers crossed it turns out. And worst case scenario, you screw up and reprime it and start over again. That's the worst thing that could happen. The worst. So yeah, it's not that bad. Especially in the world we live in today. Hey, that's cake right there. I also use washes on my Hulk. If you kind of notice on the page there, and what I ended up doing with the Hulk is that you can see there's a little bit of the wash, and that is to kind of bring out some of those lines and those recesses, just to get a little bit of different color. And of course the highlighting at a darker green started out, and then with some green, lighter green highlights, and then some more yellow to the green to try to hit the areas on the face and where the sun is hitting down or the light's hitting down that would come down. This one turned out really good. I was really, really happy with the Hulk. So, but the washes were used in that as well. But the majority of that was airbrushed. So, yeah, good stuff. I did some washes on this guy as well to kind of darken up some areas. Some I just kind of put that on there, that streaking stuff. I don't know if I like that, but you can see the washes and how it kind of muddies up stuff. And then, did some rust blotching with a cheap foam brush. And it turns out really good. I really like that. So, good. If I prime it, I lose the cool green colors I got from the PLA. Let's hope I can get away without that. Oh, okay. Yeah. And I haven't painted straight onto PLA. With the things that I ended up doing, the larger models like the Hulk that's still sitting there waiting to be painted, along with other things in my pile of shame. With the PLA figures, what I've ended up doing is that I always primer it. So I've got some primered things. So like the Hulk, we just ended up, I primed this guy up and then did him in black, which is rattle can black, and then I did dry brush. So this is the dry brush that we just finished on him. So I'm thinking about doing this guy with those speed paints and see how this guy turns out. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And then, like I said, I've got this little guy that I ended up doing as well. So, focus. So he's kind of like a Warhammer-esque type of guy. This was black, same thing, just rattle can black, enamel black, and used that as my primer, and then just dry brushed him, and we'll see how that goes. So, and I got a bunch of those. I just never painted them, and then I got all the other ones too. So. It is what it is. But the PLA, straight on the PLA, that would be interesting to see how that turns out. I don't know. Of course, everything I have is like black or white or gray. So I do have some colored PLA, but I haven't printed anything out with that stuff. It's just sitting in a box, so we'll see how that goes. Was that printed on resin or PLA on the FDM? If you're talking about the larger Warhammer dude, yeah. This was FDM printed. If you're talking him, it was printed at 0.16 layer height. So, yeah. And you can actually see on the bottom of his feet there, it was actually white. So, yeah, he turned out really good. And then I didn't even do the filler primer. You can still see the layer lines on there, which isn't a real big deal. I mean, if I primered it with filler, that would look really good. But it's kind of like the Hulk that I did him, but I used the primer filler, and he turned out really, really good. So the layer lines are almost non-existent, but that primer filler, that really turned out good. So yeah, Hulk mad. Hulk mad that I haven't painted him. So yeah, and yeah, I printed this out in 0.16 as well. I know that kind of washes out. This one, the layer lines are more pronounced. I might go through and do that as well. So, Bertha says, very nice. I printed the Xenomorph using my 0.2 millimeter nozzle in a 0.06 to 0.1 layer height. It looks so amazing. Details up the shiny claws. Ooh, that would be nice. Did you get the one where he's like crawling and the tails comes up behind him? Is that the one that you got? I printed out a, where is that? That was probably one of the earlier prints that I did with the resin printing, and it's got to be over here. Oh, here it is. And this is him right here. So I did a little bit of a different color scheme. I wanted to get some browns in there along with some green. And for the head, I tried to use a little bit of a shiny varnish, a gloss varnish on that. But this one turned out pretty good. I tried to do the bottom with a little bit more green, so we get some different colors and contrasts. So you got the one that says, no, not the crawling one. He's standing on a rock with a tail wrapped around him. I think I know which one you're talking about, and that would be pretty cool. Yeah, this turned out really good with the silver and the brown and all that. You know, some little. I ended up doing some UV resin for the dripping, and then just a little bit of blood on there. Probably add a little bit more. So yeah, that was some cured resin and dripping. I think that turned out really hot. I wanted to like put this on the side of my computer, crawling up the side of the screen, but I just never got around to doing it. I should probably do that. But yeah, this one turned out, I really like this one as well. And this was a free model. I think I got it off of Colts 3D or whatever. But this one turned out good too. I like it a lot. Probably do some more high gloss on there, but it's good. Fertha says, Looks like I got to go paint shopping this weekend. That gloss is amazing. Yeah, it's just a high gloss. Get matte, satin, and high gloss. And honestly, for something that doesn't need gloss, I just get the matte. And then for the satin, there's a little bit of difference, but it's almost imperceptible from what I've seen. And of course, the high gloss, the gloss varnish. Put multiple coats on there to try to get it really shiny. And so yeah, the matte and probably the gloss would be the way to go. But yeah, I did that with the Army painter set. So yeah, I was pretty excited about that. That was one of my learning pieces. So yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, so that's what we got going on. A lot of stuff we ended up talking about today. I think we're going to cut this because I'm starving, and I just realized it's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in Korea. And did I have breakfast? I had a latte this morning. I had a granola bar, and that was my breakfast. So no wonder I'm hungry. So anyway, Thursday morning is almost, well, it's Thursday afternoon here. So time to eat. We're going to close this out, but yeah, definitely I want to check out when you get those things done. Send them over. I'd like to take a look at that and see, especially that one you were talking about at the 0.06 to 0.1 millimeter layer height, the xenomorph there. I definitely want to see that and see how that shows up. That would be cool. Aliens, Hulk, Mando, Warhammer type stuff, Vikings, yeah, all that stuff's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, as long as you have fun doing it, that's what it's all about, and that's what we ended up doing here. So my wife kind of rolls her eyes, but it keeps me out of trouble, and that's the important part. So it works. All of it works. There's a plan. There is a plan. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. Bertha says, have a good day. I had dinner and I'm heading to bed. Yes, it's probably late. Lauren pops up, says, I was going to say it's lunchtime here. Sorry I missed the stream, but I'll catch up later. Yeah, it'll be on the page, so be sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate it. I got that, we chatted. That was cool. So we'll close this out, but with everybody else that's watching, yeah, you can contact me at this email address. I answer every single email. Might take me a couple days, but I will answer. And then doesn't matter if you just want to chat and say hi or show some models or ask questions about being retired or whatever. I always answer my email. Scrolling ticker, a bunch of people who bought me coffee. You can do that. They're awesome. That's great. Everything goes back into the channel. If you don't feel that you have to. The best thing that you could do for me is like the video. That would be, like and subscribe would be the best thing that you could do for me, and I would appreciate that. So yeah, and if you have videos as well, if you have a YouTube page or whatever it is, send that to me and I can subscribe, I can like and whatever, do this reciprocal thing, kind of like with the Korean US driver's license thing. We can do that reciprocity agreement. I will gladly help out other people, and as long as you got some cool stuff. Most people are cool. So, yeah, that's it. Other than that, have a good one, ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals. I'm going to get my eat on, and with that, we will see you on the next video, all right? Cool. Peace. Good stuff. Good.